Hi everyone, my name is Laura. Welcome to my channel. I am half ready for the day, but just wanted to hop on here because I've gotten this question a couple of times and I wanted to share it with all of you. So the question I have been asked on the regular is, why did I choose the surgeon I chose for my lipedema removal surgery? So I wanted to hop on here and share some of the reasons why, as well as maybe give some insight into what you can begin to look for when it comes to choosing the right surgeon for you. So first of all, I am Canadian and there are not any lipedema experts in Canada here. There are a few plastic surgeons that do say they do lipedema removal surgery, and I can't speak at great lengths about these surgeons. So if you're curious about staying in Canada, if you're Canadian, then go ahead and do the research. And what I highly recommend is get testimonials from other women that have had lipedema removal surgery. Just photos aren't enough, but they are a start. Okay, so I ended up coming across a group that shared, well, there's more than one group, coming across a couple of groups that shared stories of getting lipedema removal surgery outside of their home country. So there's a lot of Americans on here. Look, there's everyone from all over the world. It's a global group. And the woman that has organized it very well, and she has different files with different surgeons that have been recommended by large numbers of women in the group. So in general, what I began to find was that Germany has a lot of expertise and a lot of experience because they have recognized lipedema as a disease for a very long time. It was first discovered in like 1940. However, if you have just found me, you may have just found out about lipedema and you may have been living with it your whole life. So it's not widely spoken about in North America. We're getting there because I think women with lipedema who've lived their whole lives trying to figure out how they could possibly shrink their legs or get rid of pain after being told it was in their just in their head and they needed to work on their mindset and eat less. Women are now sharing their stories rather than taking action in the darkness, still kind of covered with that shame associated with the shame that we felt about our bodies our whole lives. And so I began to realize that there are some really great experts in Germany, and there's some really great experts in Spain and Poland. There's a few, and where else is most notably when I came across my research. There are others, but Europe has some of the best. There are also some surgeons even from Europe that do surgeries in like tropical places. I am not familiar with surgeons from Turkey. I know Turkey is like a big spot for plastic surgery now, and I think there are some surgeons that do it there, but I am not familiar at all, so I can't speak to that. But here's what I was looking for. I was looking for someone who could remove as much of the lipedema fat that I have in my legs as possible while maintaining my health and safety. The second thing I was looking for is I was looking for a female. I had a strong desire to have a woman remove the lipedema from my body because I felt a feeling that a woman would take great care in the removal process. The third thing I looked for testimonials, both good and bad. So I wanted to know why people were unhappy with the particular surgeon. And then 4 was price. Price we can't deny that if you do not have a specific means to be able to pay for this and you're working within a budget, price is something that I looked at in particular. And 5, care. So I wanted to know that the surgeon doing the surgery really cared about what they were doing. And so these were 5 things that I had in the back of my mind when I was researching who I would have surgery with. I did consultations with 3 different surgeons. There is actually a surgeon in the US, Dr. Sooo. I believe he's in Orlando, and he does the surgery awake. I do not believe he's a plastic surgeon, but the results that he has are incredible. So it's not just about removing the lipedema, but also the aesthetic result was something that's important to me. I'm not going to pretend like that wasn't important to me. During my research, I saw many women who had had lipedema removal surgery, and their legs looked like they had been butchered. And so I didn't want to trade my pain for other shame associated with like people asking me what happened to your legs. You know, my whole life, it's just like, whoa, Laura has really, really fat legs. Like, how is that possible? Although I was really great at covering it up. But I didn't want to trade one problem for another. And so this was something that I was very conscious of. And I want to be very clear that my number 1 reason for removing lipedema was pain, as well as preventing future growth. While I'm not sure surgery in of itself prevents future growth, but I was really looking at a holistic approach. So this doesn't really have anything to do with my surgeon. So figuring out triggers, what triggered lipedema growth in me, and working towards keeping any kind of inflammation in my body, as well as mitigating any potential triggers for the future, and really tapping in and tuning into my body. So this is the question you have all been asking. Who is my surgeon? I have shared often. I went to Poland to a surgeon. Her name is Dr. Nowicka. I believe it's Magdalene Nowicka, and her clinic is called Novaline, and it's in Białystok. Forgive me if I've said that wrong. So it's about an hour-and-a-half train ride from Warsaw. And the reason I chose this surgeon, 1, was because she would remove as much of the lipedema fat as possible safely. There are a lot of different hospitals or care centers where surgeries take place where they have a 5-liter limit. And when I was having consultations with other surgeons, it was going to be at least 2 surgeries because they had limits in terms of how much they could remove. And with Dr. Nowicka, she said it could very well be done in 1 surgery, especially if I continued to work at conservative measures to get rid of any excess fat that was not lipedema and excess fluid before my surgery that would really prepare me for the surgery. So that was the first reason why I chose her. The second reason was, I would say, price, because I was sort of between Dr. Nowicka and Dr. Sooo, and Dr. Sooo at the time when I got my quote was about 5 times the amount of Dr. Nowicka. And I understand it's all about supply and demand, and he was very much in demand, so he can charge whatever he would like. But ultimately it came down to money, as well as the fact that he said it was going to need 2 surgeries at least. And Dr. Nowicka said she would try and do it in 1. So that doesn't mean that I wouldn't need a second surgery, but that she was confident that she could try. Also, the third reason I chose Dr. Nowicka in Poland is she often does the surgery through a spinal block, and then with sedation. Whereas a lot of other surgeons, not Dr. Sooo, he does it with numbing. a lot of other surgeons put you out under general anesthesia. And so with the option of the spinal block as well as just some light sedation, being able to be up and not have the effects of being under general anesthesia impact me after for my recovery played a role in me deciding to go with Dr. Nowicka. Okay, and then I can't remember if this is the third or fourth. So testimonials. I started seeing testimonials and searching out testimonials from people who had seen Dr. Nowicka, as well as reading and listening to the people who are maybe unhappy. What I found with a lot of women who are unhappy, it was loose skin, irregularities. So a lot of it was related to some of the aesthetic. No one was saying that there was necessarily more pain after, and reducing pain, if not eliminating pain, was my number one priority. So yeah, I also became aware of women who required blood transfusions after, because they lost so much blood or their hemoglobin was low. And as a result, I did a lot of prep work to make myself as healthy as I possibly could before surgery. And I had 7.6 liters removed and did not require a blood transfusion. They didn't feel the need to test my hemoglobin levels. I think a nurse came in and I said, when are they going to test my hemoglobin? And I was like doing squats because I teach yoga, and so making sure I had full range of motion through my knees and stuff as quickly as possible was a part of my recovery plan. And so I'm like doing squats and they're like, we have no worries about your hemoglobin. Plus they said I didn't lose much blood. So everybody is different, and the way everybody responds to surgery is different. So understanding the risks and understanding the way a certain surgeon approaches lipedema reduction surgery is really important. So then one of the most important things that I was looking for when I was looking for my lipedema surgeon was I wanted lymph-sparing liposuction. So this is done with water-assisted liposuction, and this is very gentle on your lymphatic system. And this was very important to me. So doctors that didn't even know what I was asking, I knew that they weren't versed in lipedema, because this is something that is talked about at great lengths at medical conferences when talking about lipedema reduction surgery. It doesn't mean that it's the only way, but for me, I had an innate gut instinctual feeling that this was important for me. So a part of that important factor is that I did not want to have surgery damage my lymphatic system and then cause lymphedema. So this is something that can happen with any kind of trauma to the lymphatic system. It can cause lymphedema. And what it is, so for me with lipedema, my lymphatic system is backed up, like it's very sluggish because it has so much work to do, but it's not necessarily, it's not damaged. It can become damaged if left untreated. So different conservative lipedema therapies, especially compression therapy, as well as manual lymphatic drainage, among other things, can prevent it from damaging your lymphatic system. But having a surgery that was mindful of my lymph system was one of the deciding factors in me choosing Dr. Nowicka at Novoline in Poland. So, and that came down to care. I knew that when I went, because I don't speak Polish, that there may be a bit of a challenge, but I do believe that like 80% of the way we communicate is with our body language and our tone. And so I felt pretty confident that I would be able to communicate with the women that were helping me in recovery and before. And so I felt comfortable going to a clinic where English was not their primary language. Dr. Nowicka speaks a bit of English that she has learned from serving patients from English-speaking countries. So she by no means is fluent in English, but she is very, very, very thorough and conscious. And so there was a big level of trust that needed to come to fruition in order to choose a surgeon that might not be able to communicate as clearly as if I saw a surgeon here in Canada. But because I did those underlying researching things like testimonials and all of that stuff, I felt confident. So for someone who needs reassurance or someone who maybe is a bit of an overthinker, choosing a surgeon where they don't speak your own language might not be the best fit, but ultimately you have to listen to your own intuition and you have to do the research and then make a decision. So yeah, that is why I chose Dr. Nowicka at Novolin in Białystok, Poland. And I hope that this is helpful. If this is something that you're researching, like go ahead, keep doing the research, keep asking questions. If you guys have any more questions for me about my surgery experience, please feel free to post it below. And I will also share a before and after, maybe right here, for you guys. Yeah, I am so eternally grateful to my surgeon, and I highly, highly, highly recommend her. And it's important that you feel good about whatever decision you make in terms of choosing a surgeon for lipedema reduction surgery. I do also want to emphasize that preparation for surgery is really important. I highly recommend compression leggings for as long as you can and other conservative therapies. Novolin didn't make a recommendation, just said that I would be in compression afterwards, but I wanted to share that with you. As well as post-op care. They do make a recommendation specifically about post-op manual lymphatic drainage. I went specifically to a woman who trained in a Brazilian form of manual lymphatic drainage and works often on women who've had plastic surgery. I was her first experience with someone that had lipedema. But I highly, highly, highly recommend that you seek out someone before your surgery, see them before, speak about your surgery, and book your appointments, as well as working that cost into your budget. If you do not have the budget for the post-op care, wait for your surgery. Earn that money or put that money away or find that money somewhere and account for it in terms of your surgery costs. I cannot recommend enough the importance of post-op care. Not only did I see a manual lymphatic drainage specialist who specializes in surgery, but I also did self-MLD daily, as well as I use a pump, a vibration plate, and often elevate my legs, and movement was a big part of my recovery. I think a lot of people's innate reaction after experiencing surgery or any kind of trauma to their body is to rest. Rest is very, very good, but movement is just as important as rest, and it can be gentle. It could be yoga. You should be walking often, especially after surgery. I started doing squats the day of my surgery because I was like paying attention to how I felt, and I kind of wanted to know if my movement was going to be limited. Had I not started that right away, my movement may have been impacted because of the trauma of surgery. Scar tissue and stuff can build up if you are not conscious of that. And so with massage, MLD, as well as the movement that I did, I feel like I have prevented quite a bit of that. I will share that I also have venous insufficiency, which is often something that is found in conjunction with lipedema. And so I will be having surgery in 2 weeks' time for that. I've opted for laser surgery. In Canada, the stripping of the veins is covered, and I was approved for that. And the surgeon said I'd have to go under general anesthetic for that, but recommended a colleague that does laser, and I went and met with him, and that felt like the best choice for me. It's not always an option for everyone, so stripping would be a good option if you do not have the opportunity to do laser. But yeah, so just sharing all of the things, but that is why I chose my surgeon in Poland. And if you have any questions at all, please post them in the comments, and I will do my best to respond in a timely manner. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.